I didn't know that in order to read this, I would have had to read this first. Hello, hello. My name is Brandon Wheeler. Welcome to my channel. I got a straw in my mouth because I was hurt in army heat thing. Can't talk about this thing. Just moving on. Okay, I talk about it enough. Alrighty, book review time. Swiss Family Robinson. Now, reading the book and everything like that, my first idea is Swiss Family Robinson's the old Disney movie. I'm not really going to get into it. You know what the story is. Swiss Family Robinson. It's a famous story. Everyone predominantly knows it. It was written by Johann David Wyss. Probably. It was written in the 1700s. It was edited by his son, written in 1812. Not really as much as known about the gentleman who wrote it. So he's kind of like a pastor or so. He wanted to write it for his kids. So I was like, okay. It's translated in 1814 into English. So it's at least a 211-year book in English. But basically, the Swiss Family Robinson are a family marooned on an island. Now, I didn't realize this till I looked up the Wikipedia article on the book, but it's nowhere. I didn't realize it, but it's like in the book. You know, multiple times I made that joke in the beginning, like, yeah, I had to read this. No, the reason different times there's the mother and father and their four boys, and the boys like one time the second boy Ernest is like, hey, can I stay on this little island for a little bit longer so I can feel like like Robinson Crusoe and the isolation and loneliness. Father's like, no, you're coming back home because they get shipwrecked. They're on their travel on the way to a new colony, and the crew deserts the boat because they're about to be shipwrecked or whatever. The family stays on. But the crew is all gone. They have no clue what happened to any of them, but they have all the supplies from the boat and everything. So they're like, okay, we're going to establish a colony on this, try to live on this place here. And they build a lot of stuff in the period of about 10 years of being on the island and everything like that. It's basically their own home. They have, of course, their oldest son, Franz, second son, Ernest, third son, Jack, and the youngest, little Fritz. Or is that Franz and the oldest is Fritz? I think the oldest is Fritz and the little is Franz. Pretty much, I think that's the way it is, and I'm just screwing it up for some reason. Yes, Fritz. Fritz is the oldest. But I just keep getting their names confused at times. But it's just, children's book. But the reason why he wrote this book particularly is because to be more educational about animals and stuff around and everything like that. Because they have this stuff on this island that's like a distinctive impossibility. It's like, it was kind of shown like it's showing them like in New Guinea, like off in New Zealand or something. But it's like, wait, if that's not New Zealand, Indonesia or whatever. But it's like, wait, if they're going off that way, why on earth is like a capybara here on this planet? And there's like an anaconda that's like 30 feet long. And this is like, no, not anaconda, like a boa constrictor. He described it as a boa constrictor, but I was like, I don't think if a boa constrictor can get 30 feet long. Maybe anaconda, maybe that's what it was called. Maybe they didn't know what the distinction was, but just different animals appear on this island that, because they're trying to survive and everything, that don't appear there naturally. And it's just like, but seemingly it was more, educational about stuff and everything and just throwing them on the island. And it's like, oh, okay, that's cool. But I didn't realize it, again, going back to the Wikipedia article, I didn't realize it reading this book. There's this, which I've already covered, the Robinson Crusoe book. It was very influential of its time and everything like that, but of how much other books kind of inspired their own castaway stories, essentially. It's just, there were other things that are kind of the part of Robinson or Crusoe-ish type books that are inspired by that afterwards, but this one was one of the more famous ones because of all the family and everything. But here's the thing. The Swiss Family Robinson, they are from Switzerland. They call their new colony New Switzerland. It doesn't say their last names anywhere in the book. And then when I read this on the article, because I was 3/4 of the way through, I'm like, wait a minute. I remember trying to go through the book. I'm like, that's right. It doesn't ever remember their last names at all. I don't even remember the father's name or the wife's name. And it's just like, wait. Robinson, because we think, oh, their last name is Robinson. What, in Switzerland or something? There's no such name. Swiss Family Robinson. It's like a Switzerland family who are like Robinson Crusoe, stuck on an island. The Swiss Family Robinsons. And it's like, Oh, I never caught that in anything I've ever seen before. I was like, really? Really? That's wow. I if nothing else, I learned that about this book is like, oh, I thought their last name was Robinson and everything. No, their last name's not Robinson at all. And unlike the original kind of like old movie that I remember watching and stuff, there's no fighting them against pirates or anything like that. There is the girl that they meet at the end, and seemingly the oldest son, Fritz, because they've been on the island for 10 years. Starts at 14, he basically about 24, give or take. So it's just kind of like, the girl, what was her name, Julie? Ah, crap, what was her name again? Jenny. She was actually shipwrecked for 3 years at 17, so she was 20 years old. And I was like, oh, I didn't know she was shipwrecked for that long before they find her. And they're there about a year during that time before, an English ship reaches and everything. I don't remember this in the original movie and stuff. Of course, again, movie is different. But I thought Ernest left the island, but in book form, Fritz leaves. The oldest goes back to Europe with Jenny because he also falls in love with her and they want to be married and everything, which the father gives his blessing and stuff. But Ernest stays on the island, Jack stays on the island, but the youngest son, Franz, also goes off and everything like that. So they can, because he's like, well, I'm the youngest, I could probably still learn how to adapt. Whereas the family's like, they talk to others and others want to join them. And father and's like, hey, we're going to stay here because they have all these animals and everything they have. I mean, got a bunch of chickens, pigs, donkeys, oxen. There's so many different things they have. And they're just like, hey, we're in New Switzerland. We're a colony of Switzerland or Europe or Britain. We're here. And I was like, oh, okay. It's a very interesting story and stuff. And again, sometimes driving, but it is a very adventure book. I love the ending because it's like this book is like written as a journal that the father has. And at the end, he gives it to the oldest son, Fritz, to when he goes back and he's like, hey, publish it and everything as a send off to him so it could be like a good story for boys and everything like that. And it's like, oh, well, this is a good ending. I like that. It's just a very good ending, Christian in its way of book and everything, about still values and everything, but it's more about the survival things and all that. He had to do research of some things like, hey, let me throw this here. Well, it's not accurate to this island. Well, I'm going to throw it in there anyway. So it's just an interesting, it's definitely more enjoyable to read compared to Robinson Crusoe. Because Robinson Crusoe is just predominantly throughout the entire book, just one guy surviving and everything like that. Whereas this, you at least have other characters you can go through with the dialogue and the hijinks that all the sons do and get into at times. It's just interesting like that. I remember from the movie they have a race on the animals. I think the mother won it, but in the book, if it's that thing they based it off of, it's just the sons doing that. I don't recall who won it, and it was like out of the first one of the times they did it. I don't think Jenny did anything. Jenny's not involved in any capacity till almost like the very end, like the last 50 pages in the book. Not even that, like last 30 pages is when she appears. I think she's like very minor compared to the end. Besides saying that, how Fritz fell in love with her in the year that they're together on the island and everything. So I was like, all right. So, but as far as the enjoyment, because this came in a case, that's why I bought it. Because I was looking to get Treasure Island and everything. And it's just like, what do I enjoy? And even then, it doesn't mention anything about Treasure Island, but even then, it mentions this book too, that the Lilliputians, like, oh, or the Lilliputians are out there on the thing and everything like that. It's like, see, literature inspires other things. It's like, oh yeah, I like that. I'm going to throw that into this book and things as well. It's just interesting in how that stuff happens. It's like, okay, intriguing. But as far as this, as a whole, Treasure Island, obviously, I'm going to enjoy the most. Second out of this, definitely, Swiss Family Robinson. I guess I'll put Gulliver's Travels ahead of Robinson Crusoe. Not necessarily out of enjoyment, but because it's just so wacky and weird, and sometimes it's like, what is all this? At imagination, like, oh yeah, the learning the horse language, it's just, yeah. But have you read Swiss Family Robinson? Would you like Swiss Family Robinson? I recommend Swiss Family Robinson. As if you want to say, oh, well, does it have any language concerning different people that are from back then and everything? There's a couple things that are maybe not so quote as well as today's thing. Other than that, it's not really focused on any of that. It's more focused on the survival and everything of that day and just trying to get through and being educational, you can say, about the animals and living stuff that are around. Whether it's all achievable or not and how they get to do all that, because the fathers have many trades of doing pretty much everything. How to, it's like he's the professor on Gilligan's Island. He is like the professor is like, oh yeah, I know how to do all this stuff. Can't fix a hole in a boat, but I know how to do all these different other things. And it's just like, actually, he's better than the professor on Gilligan's Island. He knows how to make a boat, whereas the professor is like, I don't know how to fix a hole. I can make diver piece of glue to a coconut and make a working radio, but I can't fix it. Whereas the father in this, he probably would. So that ends my classic collection series, at least for this. I'm working on another book that's sitting right over there. That's going to be interesting. Plus something else for a thing here. Here's a little teaser. Yep, there we go. That I'm going to be reading soon for the season. But first I got to do another book for homework, which is like... But we're going to be getting into that. So, have you read Swiss Family Robinson? What do you think about it? Do you remember the original, was it 60s movie? I think it was made by Disney. I don't know. Let me know what you think, and see you in the next one. Goodbye.